Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are live again. My name is Jenn Spencer, and I am the host of my new show, Beneath the Surface. And let me know if you're here as you start to slowly join in. Let me know if you're joining me because I can't always see if you're actually here. So say hi in the comments if you can. So I've been running this show now for the last few weeks, and this is our third episode. I'm very excited. I've been able to keep the momentum and actually hold myself accountable to come and show up every week on LinkedIn. And Beneath the Surface is a show that sits at the intersection of business and spirituality. And so I'm really on a mission right now to understand how successful business people are using spirituality in their day-to-day lives and how it's really influenced their mindsets and their path to success. So I'm really excited today. I get to speak to a very incredible human and very good friend of mine, Jennifer Dana. And Jenn is a tech leader. She's a wellness advocate. She is an herbal medicine enthusiast. And so we're going to learn all about that because I don't know too much about it. And she's the leader of strategy development and communications at Adobe's customer engineering and customer success organization. And she also serves as Adobe's San Francisco Wellbeing ambassador. And I actually know Jenn because she's been able to bring Pause and Expand in to do weekly sessions with the Adobe San Francisco team, which has been absolutely incredible. And we'll talk a bit about that. So I am going to bring Jenn on stage now, and the two Jenns will kick off this third episode of Beneath the Surface. Hi, Jenn. Welcome.
Hi, Jen. Thanks so much for
Glad you're
having me.
so happy you're here. Hi, Maria. I see Maria's here. Um, Jenn, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. And one of the things I remember really loving about your energy when I first met you is you are very calm. You have this incredible presence about you that is just really warm and inviting. And you are super, super smart. I don't know how many people have ever told you that before, but you just have this really powerful way of being an influencer and just leading change, which is what I've really witnessed in the work that you've been doing at Adobe. So really happy you're here and part of the show today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I truly feel honored to be here.
Aw, amazing. So I'd love to kick it off by just having you share a little bit about the work you do at Adobe. And I guess in your
Sure.
personal would be great.
Yeah. So, at a high level, I've been with Adobe for close to 12 years now. And I've been mainly on the consulting side, doing a lot of operational support. So, helping our people kind of deliver best in class services. And I would say that wellness and mental health has really been a big focus in my life, whether or not I was really aware of it or not. But I originally went to school, I got my degree in psychology. So it's been in the forefront of my mind to always try and understand what's going on with people. How do they think? Because if I can understand their motivations and
Mm.
their thought process, then that for me could inform how to incite change. So, with the onset of COVID and the pandemic and working from home and wellness really becoming an important feature for companies and for people as individuals, I saw the conversation coming to the surface really in terms of wellness. So, I really I spotted an opportunity to get involved and make a difference.
Mm. Yeah, that's it's interesting the complement of psychology and how that was sort of a foray into your initial interest in understanding how people work, how people think. How has your own mental wellness journey been affected over the last few years when you think about, how you've been showing up as a leader and maybe what that influence has been on your desire to help and inspire wellness in organizations for other people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would have to say, kind of being a bit brave and
Mm,
honest about the struggles I think that we've all been experiencing the past few years, coupled with being a mom. So I had my first daughter about 5.5 years ago, and then my son 3 years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm,
So you couple the stresses of being shelter in place and kind of losing your community and your village, and being really isolated with just the stresses of being a mom with a new baby.
mm,
And I I found a lot of strength in the dialogue that was happening at a social level in terms of, people are having a hard time and standing up and being like, I'm having a hard time too, but I want to find a way out of this.
mm,
And also creating a space where people can stand up and be like, yeah, like I need a safe space and in the community with this too, because I'm having a hard time.
mm. Yeah.
So I think that it can be incredibly isolating. If you're going through anxiety or depression or other challenges, and just finding comfort and community has been incredibly powerful, especially when so much of our community pre-pandemic was ripped away.
Mm, yeah. Did what types of modalities or tools did you use in your own journey when that period was happening? And I can only imagine, especially as being a mom, like having all these different responsibilities. I'm curious, what were the modalities that really helped you in your journey to stay in a place of balance and be able to manage all of the different areas of your life?
Yeah. Outside of binge watching Netflix.
Yeah. If we have another hour, we'll talk about all our shows.
I'd love that. Um, yeah, I really leaned into my herbal medicine and herbal support.
Mm,
So I did an intensive herbal study for a year at Gathering Time in San Francisco, and um, just learned the basics of using plant medicine and what's around us in nature to really um, complement our internal systems and
mm,
really find sustainable slow medicine that was really nourishing, using food as medicine.
mm,
And as a new mom, you're depleted on so many levels, on every level really. So finding ways to rebuild the fundamentals and the building blocks with nutrition and herbal medicine was really powerful, as well as using sound
mm.
and music. I tried filling the house with music as much as possible in between napping baby. Um, so I would have to say those two things were made a really big difference for me.
Let's dig a little deeper into the herbal medicine because I'm curious. I don't know that much about herbal medicine, and I'm curious for anyone who's watching right now. How would you describe it, and like what exactly is how do you use herbal medicine in your day-to-day life? What does that look like?
Yeah, there's a lot of different modalities for it. I think that everybody's really familiar with teas and herbal teas and chamomile. People always say, like, yeah, I take chamomile for sleeping. Um, and there's tinctures, there's salves, there's body oils. There's a lot of different ways to get the different constituents of plants into our systems. Um, and what that can look like is support with immunity building, with insomnia, with fatigue, with anxiety, with depression. Um,
Mhm.
and I know that there's there's things that you can say about herbal medicine, things that you can't, just because the research or the compliance around it is a bit tricky to navigate. But outside of that, I think that if you just look at human history and how people would tend to themselves and their families, it was land based, it was plant
Mm,
based. So it's really a part of human history, whether or not we reach for it as the first thing today or not. It's a part of everyone's history.
yeah. Was that how did you initially get involved in that or interested in that? Was it like do you was there influence in your early family life? Like, I'm curious how you actually landed on this as something that you're super passionate about?
Yeah, I love that question. So, I'll kind of go a little backwards in this in terms of I first went to the herb shop when I was looking for a solution to help my daughter through teething.
Mm.
And by the way, chamomile ice cubes in a meshy bag, perfect for teething. So
Yes, take notes to any moms out there.
exactly. And I just happened to see that they had a sign for, a 9-month intensive course. And I just got a gut feeling of like, this could be really interesting.
Mm.
I'm, you know, I just do something for myself. Like, and so I signed up on a whim. And as I was going through the coursework, I would get little hits of memories of my mom taking care of me as a child. So
Mm.
both of my parents are from Ukraine, from Kiev. So I would grow up with folk medicine and not really recognize it or appreciate it. Like when I'd get a cold, my mom would give me a foot bath with mustard seed. And at the time, I remember it just being like such an awful, awful smell. Being like, oh, what is she doing? But it would work. Um,
Mm.
and so I would realize as I'm going through, like, I'm not learning these things, I'm relearning them and actually understanding um, the logic behind it. And I would have to say that it's been a part of my life since I was a kid, and I didn't really realize it.
Mm. That's really cool. How do you feel that your use of herbal medicine in your day-to-day life has helped your performance at work? Like, does it have an influence directly on your ability to do your job, to be more focused, anything like that?
Uh, I would like to think that it does. There are definitely tinctures that I take that are associated with better memory, better
Mm.
mental stamina. So rather than reaching for a cup of coffee, that's what I reach for in the mornings. And I would have to say the immunity building has been huge as well. I mean, with
Mm.
two little ones who are in and out of or that are in school, they come home with a lot of fun things. So being able to stay healthy for them, for myself, for work has been significant.
Mm. What's the one herb that we all need? If you could recommend one herb or tincture that everyone should have for something that you think is important, what would be the one that you would recommend to us?
I will wholeheartedly say that there is not one herb.
Oh.
Yeah, it is very very personal. Everybody has different needs. Their body has different requirements. So it's kind of like finding your perfect color, really.
Mm. Got it,
There's
got it,
not one
get
color
it.
that's going to look good on everybody.
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's deeply personal.
Mm.
So yeah.
Cool. Um, okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about your advocacy for mental health in the workplace. So you and I met through a mutual friend of ours, Cherry Rose Tan, who also is an incredible human and does some really, really inspiring work with mental health and mental health awareness. And I remember first meeting you and feeling a real passion for your desire to help people, not only at Adobe, but also it felt like on a bigger scale. And I'm curious how you talked a little bit about, your background in psychology and your experiences through COVID and how that really had shaped your desire to help. But how has it specifically been influenced in the work that you're doing at Adobe right now?
So let me see if I got the question right. How does my desire influence the work I'm doing?
Yeah, like talk a little bit
Yeah.
about the work that you're doing right now with Adobe and where that passion comes from, like how you feel motivated because this is in addition to the work that you're doing right now, is it not?
Mm, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Wellbeing ambassadorship is a volunteer position, and I would have to say that the work that you and Steve are doing, once I experienced it, it was just a no-brainer for me. It was just like more people need to have access to this. And just being in a position where I have an opportunity to bring this to a larger audience, there was just no question for me, really. I had entered into the ambassadorship with a vision of bringing herbal medicine and education to the folks at Adobe. And I was kind of juggling both. Um, the sound bath and the herbal programming for the first year, but my going back, yeah, the herbal medicine was my first path. So when I got introduced to both of you, um, there's just no way I can say no because I felt the power of it, and I
Mm,
felt the effects even from the small demo that we experienced, and it made such a profound, like, I felt just such a profound shift in myself where, I just wanted to get the word out.
mm,
So,
mm. What has it been like bringing something new into such a well-established company? Um, yeah, what has that experience been like for you as a leader?
yeah, I would have to say, w while there's, like, an initial nerves of making a post to use something like a Slack channel with 2,000 people on it, and you're really not sure how it's people are going to respond to it. I would have to say Adobe's culture is really open and welcoming. So
Mm,
trying new things is encouraged. It's highly encouraged and accepted. So I felt confident going into it.
mm.
Yeah.
And did you feel you needed, was there a person or multiple people at Adobe that really helped you to feel confident in that? Or did you feel that you were, it was more of a solo journey to trying to convince and bring this on board?
I would have to say I got a lot of support from my site council, from other well-being ambassadors in different offices, from the leads of the ambassador program. So just kind of getting their thumbs up and being like, yeah, this is really interesting. This is different. I
Mm,
haven't really heard of this before. It just gave me those little signposts on the that said that I'm on the right path. But yeah, largely it felt like I was going at it alone. But
mm,
as the program picked up momentum, I would get other partners like my partner at Exos, which helps facilitate a lot of the physical well-being aspects at Adobe. She got on board and was like, "Hey, I'd love to cross promote. I love this programming. I've felt a difference in the way that I move through my day when I experience it." So I would have to say that it's been a bit of a community that's
mm.
built around it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So for those of you that don't know, what we're doing right now at Adobe is we're actually bringing weekly meditation and sound baths right into the San Francisco site. So we do all the sessions virtually. They're 30 minutes, and it's been really inspiring and actually pretty incredible to see how Jen has built this community of people. We promote through Slack. Jen has a whole site that has the recordings of all of the sessions that we do, and every single week is a different topic. So it's been really, I've been really interested in how this is starting to spread. Um, I'm curious for you, Jen, what do you think the future is for wellness like this in companies?
Yeah, it's another really great question. Um, I think I think that the floodgates are starting to open. Like
Mm,
you can't roll back the attention that's being put on well-being, and I I think that there's a thirst for it,
mm,
and whether or not there's going to have the same level of spotlight on wellness within companies. I think that those companies that will continue to stand out, that really invest in their people and care about the future of their people, which is their greatest asset, they're going to be the ones who continue to invest in well-being and wellness.
Mm,
Um, and there's a significant shift not only at the enterprise level, um, but at an individual level as well. I think the pandemic really awakened a lot of things in people and had them call into question what's important in life.
mm,
Where do I want to invest my time, my energy? And when folks find alignment within how they want to structure their day and find alignment with the companies that they want to partner and associate with, um, those commonalities is what's going to drive a lot of behavior.
mm.
So, yeah, if companies are smart, they'd continue to invest in it.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I have talked a little bit about the culture at Adobe, but you're on a sabbatical right now, right, from work.
I
Um,
am.
Tell me about that and how that all works at Adobe. It surprised me a little bit when you told me, but I'm curious how that whole sabbatical program works at Adobe.
Yeah, so every 5 years, you become eligible for a sabbatical, and you have 2 years to take it. The first year, you get 4 weeks. I'm sorry, the first 5 years, you get 4 weeks, and then another 5 years, you get 5 weeks, and then they kind of like tax on an extra week with every 5 year segment. I believe it caps out, but I can't remember exactly what. Um, but yeah, it's an opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity and benefit that's given to their employees just to be able to unplug and recharge. I
Mm.
mean, everybody that I've always worked with at Adobe are such high performers, a lot of A-type personalities. So having this moment to completely unplug and kind of reset is beneficial for sure.
Yeah. So how long is your sabbatical?
So this one is 5 weeks. There's also a summer break that the entire company takes for the 4th of July week. So I kind of piggybacked it on to that. So it'll be a total of 6 weeks.
Okay. Do you ever have fear that you're going to, like, is there ever any fear about being away from work for that length of time?
No,
Hmm.
no. I have a really phenomenal team that I know that will keep the lights on. And yeah, your sabbatical's coming up. So you make sure that all of your ducks are in a row. You have your transition plan. Um, And I also feel incredibly valued on my team, so I
Mhm.
know that my position is gonna be there waiting for me when I get back.
Mhm. What do you think helps you to feel valued? Like, what is it about the culture that helps you um, to feel a sense of value and also safety that your role is protected when you have time to actually take time and space for yourself?
Yeah. Um, the amount of emails I get and who else is gonna answer them. Yeah, no, it's a fair question, and I would have to say that I know a large part of it is just instinctual, that I see I see myself filling a role that is very much needed in terms of team leadership when it comes to communications and strategic development.
Mm,
Granted, it's a very new role. It wasn't in formation prior to me coming on board to this part of the organization. Um, but if there wasn't a need for it, they wouldn't have created it. So it's really the glue that holds a lot of the team together.
mm. You've talked a few times in our conversation about this concept of intuition and using your intuition in the work that you do in your life. How does your intuition play a role in the decisions you make within your day-to-day life and in the work you do at Adobe?
Yeah, my my hypothesis on that is that there's such an incredible amount of work that needs to be done. And
Mm,
our minds are a powerful thing that we still only understand a fraction of. So for me, intuition is our minds or our body's way of telling us something that it's already calculated
mm,
in the recesses of our mind that our consciousness might not necessarily be able to articulate or process in the time that we're given. So our gut feelings is just a certain level of knowing that we have based on logic, based on past experiences, based on new information that's coming in. So there's a degree of trust that when you build with your intuition, um, that you become very effective.
mm.
So I would have to say that leaning on that intuition comes about when, we're trying to get through everything that we need to get through.
Yeah. When is the time that you've actually had to use your intuition in an actual setting, whether it's connected to your life or your work, and make a decision and you've really followed that gut knowing in yourself and it's paid off?
I would have to say the well-being work,
Mm,
you know. It it was a scary thing to take on a whole new level of responsibility. Um, on top of my full-time position, raising 2 kids, agreed to do it when I was just starting my EMBA program. So there was no shortage of responsibilities. So I really wasn't sure if I could be successful in it,
mm,
um, just given the time that I had to dedicate to it. But that intuition stepped in and was like, "You got to do this. You got to see this through." Um, and yeah, I don't regret it one bit.
What do you think that your intuition is telling you in terms of why you're doing it? What is it that Jen wants to do when you see the vision of what this looks like in the future?
I think it's saying that the work is important.
Mm,
Even though it's not my full-time daytime job, that if if I don't do it, then who else is going to do it? The
mm,
way that I kind of see the vision for it, because the platform itself being virtual, there really are no bounds to who it can reach. So just being able to light a spark, making time for it, making, communication, putting communications out there and making it known. Um, for me, like, that small action can make a really big difference.
mm. How do you
Yeah.
make time for it? I mean, I'm hearing you talk about all of these things. You seem to me like you're a superhuman, I'm not gonna lie. You know those people you meet that you just think, "How does this person do all those things? I could never do that." So aside from the fact that you're a superhuman, um, you're a mom, you've got an incredible position at Adobe, you run the wellness programming, um, you're into herbal medicine and working through that. How do you make time to do all these things? Like, where do you find balance?
Um, that's a really good question. I ask myself all the time. Yeah, I have a really wonderful support system. My husband takes um, a lot of the care with the kids when I need it, and we trade off. So I would have to say that having a true partnership with him has been amazing.
Mm,
And he gives me the time and the space to study when I needed to do that. When I need to take my early morning work calls. Um, and yeah, you find pockets
mm,
of time, even if it's just 5 minutes here to update the website with the latest recording or set up some Slack messages. If you want it badly, you will find ways to make it happen.
mm. That's interesting. If you want it badly, you will make time to make it happen. Do you attribute, what is that attributed to? Like, where did you learn that skill?
Um, I don't know. I'll have to ask my therapist.
You were born with it. Talk to me about the work, not specifics obviously, but the role that therapy has played in your life so far.
Yeah. Um, it's been an incredible resource for feeling seen and feeling
Mm,
heard, and having access to someone that you can speak to in a way where you don't have to mince words and you can just come as you are and be vulnerable. um, I think is really powerful. So much of our days are taken up with wearing our professional hat, or wearing our mom or dad hat, wearing our friend hat. um, that the space of just being able to let go um, gets used up.
mm,
So I think therapy is a really wonderful way to have protected time to just let go.
mm. What does it mean to feel seen? Either at work or in your life, in your day-to-day experience. What does that mean to you?
Mm. Um, I would have to say being listened to without any pretenses,
Mm,
and as I was saying before, like not having to fill a role other than just being yourself, and having someone listen to that and respond to that. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like we're starting to get really deep. This is good. This is really good. As a leader, how do you help your team feel seen?
Yeah. For me, I try very hard, whether or not I succeed. They can attest to that or not. I try really hard to give them space to talk with me, to um, for me to be able to be there and listen,
Hmm.
and not always be the one who's talking, and really listen to what they're saying and not just trying to think of an answer to the question that I think that they're asking.
Mm,
Because I think we all get caught up in that, where we make assumptions around what the other person is saying, or where they're coming from. We're trying to like figure out like what's the angle, but just being present in the moment, which is incredibly difficult. Like if you like it in terms of meditation, like it's
yeah.
all about being present in the moment. And doing your sessions, I become so painfully aware of how difficult that is. If it's
Yeah.
difficult for me, it's going to be difficult for the next person.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it's really being present with them. It's turning off the notifications and the messages, and kind of shutting everything else out and just hearing them out, hearing their
Mhm.
ideas, their concerns, and providing them what they're asking for.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels very true. And even as you were talking about this concept of listening, Steve and I have talked a lot about this in the work that we're doing. And it's very hard as, you know, a collective of people that have their ideas, that have their perspectives, that, a lot of us are trying to control a lot of the time. So we want to control the narratives to actually be able to step back and really, truly listen to what someone is saying. That's hard.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's really hard to do. Um, Do you feel like Adobe's a culture where you can talk about the fact that you go to therapy and that you do this type of work? Like, do you feel safe to do that?
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah. Not only do I feel safe, but Adobe actually offers 10 free sessions with a therapist. So they have a lot of different programs that are set up to help folks get access to this sort of support.
mm. Do you think that's still a stigma around this concept of people feeling they need to be quiet about their work in therapy? Or do you think that it's becoming there's more of an openness to it?
I sense an openness to it. And
Mm,
I could be in a bit of a bubble, but I absolutely have a sense of openness to it.
mm. What about meditation? How has meditation helped you in your career, in your work?
Yeah. So meditation is really hard for me.
Mhm.
I've tried a lot of different types, and it doesn't seem a lot of it hasn't been able to really bring me to center. Um, I think my mind is just way too active and always, 10 steps ahead of everything, which is a double-edged sword, right? You have somebody who is really prepared for a lot of different things and in different areas, but again, that's like a really active mind. So the um, the sound bath and the story guided meditation has been really powerful for me because it gives me an anchor. I
Mm,
have a voice to listen to that isn't my own. I have a story to pay attention to other than like figuring out what I need to get at the store in order to make dinner, in order for my kids to eat, in order for them to grow so they can sleep. So like that's like my thought process of that. Um, so having, as I said, like those anchors has been really, really powerful for me in order to find that center,
mm,
find that presence of I'm right here. I'm listening to this right now. And then being able to drop into the sound bath portion of the programming. Um, and that's also a component of my therapy as well. Like I see a somatic therapist who really helps me connect with my body. And our
mm,
bodies can't be anywhere except here and now. Our
mm,
bodies cannot be in the past, it cannot be in the future. Um, it's now. So finding a connection with that has been really, really helpful.
mm. I love somatic therapy too. I think that it is absolutely incredible in terms of helping us be in our bodies. What has been the biggest impact for you in the difference between traditional therapy, like talk therapy, and somatic therapy?
Yeah. Um, I I find my therapist to be really engaging. Talk
Mm,
therapy was wonderful for me at the time that I needed it, but I found myself outgrowing it a bit of wanting to have someone who's more engaged with me rather than somebody who was just helping me along the path of my own thought process because my own thought process can be very dizzying. As you got like a small glimpse of it. Um, but my somatic therapist, Mia Runanen, who is incredible, she provides insights.
mm,
She pulls in her lived in experiences and her studies from a lot of different modalities and finds a way to weave um, a concept for me to understand in the moment. And it's more of a dialogue.
mm.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So for those of you that don't know and aren't familiar with somatic therapy, it's more of a body-based type of therapy. So you're actually able to go in and work with the feelings of what's actually coming up when you're telling stories or you're going through a lived experience or you're recounting something that happened, versus just expressing, okay, this is what's happening to me, and telling it almost like a story. You're actually able to go in and feel in the body. And I think that it's really powerful, especially in the sound work that we've been doing, to be able to actually, because that's what sound does. It actually takes you into your physical body and it allows you to feel what is going on underneath the tell me 2 words about how you're feeling right now. I feel overwhelmed and anxious. Okay, well, let's go into the body and actually feel what that would feel like. What does it feel like? Where does it live in your body? What is happening when you breathe? All of those types of things. So it's refreshing to know that's an area for you that's really helping to enhance your ability to show up so fully and do all the things you're doing. I often wonder how high performers like you can hold it all together. So it's nice to be able to get a little bit under the surface and hear that it's not just this is how I was, this is how I've always been. There's a lot of things that it sounds that you're doing that are helping you to be and show up as the person that you are right now. The last question I'll ask you is, for anyone that wants to try to bring new initiatives, new experiences into an organization that might be filled with people that are no disrespect to type A individuals, but might be high achievers, full busy schedules, what would be the piece of advice that you would give to those people to learn how to become an ambassador for their organization?
Just do it and figure it out later.
Mm,
I think that it's so easy to get caught up in the planning and the logistics that the end goal can get buried underneath all of that.
mm,
Just thinking back on our experience, like we didn't have all of the pieces put together. We just kind of had a Zoom link and had a Slack post
yeah,
and just waited to see who showed.
yeah.
So if you have an idea, if it's, the sound bath or if it's something else, just start small, get some feedback, because once that first initial small step is taken care of, you're already on your way.
Mm. Yeah, it's really true as you say that. When I reflect back on our experiences, there were some days where Jen and I would have calls and we would have no idea what the next step was, but we figured it out in the moment and we were able to start to build momentum. So the Slack channel started to grow. Jen was able to go in and actually get additional smaller community groups within Adobe, different Slack channels to come into the meditation one that we run. So I totally agree with you. It's just this concept of just taking the risk and doing it can be applied to so many areas of our life, right? Not just work, but also anything that we're questioning doing that we really want to go forward and do. So it's been so nice chatting with you, Jen. I just adore you. I'm so inspired by the way you show up. I think that your ability just to push the barrier on mental health and advocacy, not only at Adobe, but I can just see this vision of you in the future doing this in many, many other places. So I just appreciate you. And I'm so grateful that you were able to come on and chat with us about herbal medicine and all the tinctures and all the tips for new moms and just all the areas of what makes you so great. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you again. I loved our time.
Awesome. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much. We're at our time. So we will see you again soon and hope you all have a great day.
Bye, everyone.